Are the foods you eat compromised? I'm not talking about compromised by an insect or compromised by some disease. No, I'm talking about, are they compromised by a toxin used just to get them to market? Compromised food? What do I mean by compromise? I said it's not a question of insects. Yeah, it's got an insect. No, it's not that what I mean, compromised. And it's not because, oh, there's a spot on it and it makes it a disease organism. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean it's compromised is that it's got something applied to that crop to mask or to hide, to get it to market. It's usually a toxin, it's usually a pesticide, and it doesn't mean it's unsafe. Yeah, it's not unsafe, well, at least not immediately. But it's worse than that. It's really sinister. The most evil part, yes, I use the word evil, it's really evil to hide the truth. That's what we're doing, is treating a crop conventionally, even organically, just to get that crop to market. Regardless of what problems arise, maybe it had an insect, maybe it had a disease, but we treat it and by golly, we're gonna get that crop to market. Does that mean it's subpar? Yeah, it's subpar, it's suboptimal, it's not at its ideal nutritional quality. And that defect is showing that it's lacking usually some vital element. The insects and disease, in this case, it's probably a codling moth, are really doing us a service. No, it can't be. What kind of service is it? That's terrible. We want to get rid of them. Their service is that they are showing us that this fruit, probably this tree, is subpar, is lacking something. It's not at its optimal. And are we listening? Are we paying attention that it's telling us? No. What we tend to do is we tend to want to just hide it, mask it, cover it up, get rid of the messenger. If we look at insects and disease as a messenger, then we go, they're trying to tell us something. But are we listening? Yes, insects and disease are there to do a service. The service is, in nature, that service is really to prevent that tree from producing fruit that will reproduce. So it's really, they're trying to get rid of that plant. That's what the insects and disease are doing, because that plant in some way isn't fit. So they're just there to remove it. Or if we're farming, they're there to indicate to us that, you know what, it's time to make a change. It's time to change something. It could be maybe the drainage isn't optimal. Maybe they're lacking some vital element. Maybe we're over-fertilizing and we're causing some disease to show up. Whatever it is, they're trying to tell us something. But are we listening? The majority of what we're eating is actually compromised food. To say it another way, most of what we eat is not fit to be in a store. Yeah, I said it. It's not fit to be in a store. Here's the measure we should be using. The metric. How do we know? Well, here it is. Can we get this crop to market without any chemical crutch or chemical mask? To get it to market looking good without that? That is really the measure we should apply to the food. Perfect fruit and vegetables are not a guarantee of being uncompromised. Remember, I said compromised is really a mask. It's a hiding the truth. Perfect fruit? Were they really untouched by any chemical? We don't know. It's hidden. Just look at popular culture. What is evil portrayed as? Oh, it's the masked bandit or masking some way. Well, what is compromising? It's masking in some way. That's why I use the word evil. Because now we don't know. Is it? I don't know. Basically, it comes down to compromised food shows that there is some compromise in the soil. Unhealthy food means unhealthy soil. Healthy soil produces healthy food, which produces healthy animals and healthy people. So if you take that reasoning, does it mean compromised food leads to unhealthy people? Look around yourself. You be the judge. How healthy are the people around you? I eat some food that's compromised, and I know and understand that it is compromised. I have a farm. We have a small garden. We raise some of our own animals, but I still do eat some compromised food. How did we get here? Let me give you a little history on how did we get to the point of having compromised food as a general rule. Well, it all goes back to, if you go about 100 years ago, all the food was basically organic. People used manure, they used crop rotation, they saved their own seed and they sowed their own seed. Then the Second World War came around and there was excess capacity to produce armaments. And then after the war, they could use those same factories to produce fertilizer. So fertilizer became a product that was touted as wonderful. And yes, farmers got an increase of yield in the short term, and they began using fertilizer, synthetic fertilizer. And that really led to the first level of compromise, which meant you used fertilizer, probably your soil became unbalanced. There was an imbalance nutritionally. And so that's the first level. Your food had a nutritional imbalance, which was a first level of compromise. Then what happened is, because pesticides are used, it really was a boom to show people, you know what, now we're getting these insects, we're getting these diseases show up because the crops were nutritionally compromised. Oh, it was a boom to produce and sell pesticides. I remember a neighbor used to say, he was around in the 50s, and he said, boy, I remember when we first started using DDT, he said, boy, that was amazing. You'd spray that thing and it was just quiet. There was nothing moving around. Yeah, and there were products that thankfully today they're no longer used, but we still use pesticides. Why? Because that's the second level of compromise. First, nutritionally, which encourages and attracts the insects and disease. So now what? You had a boom of use of fertilizer, and then you had a boom of the pushing or the selling of pesticides. Why? Because you have a problem created by the fertilizers. Now, let's sell you another product, a solution, in the form of pesticides, whether it's insecticide, which is for the insects, or a fungicide, which is for fungal diseases. And now these were used. So that was the second level of compromise. You know your crop was compromised nutritionally, and now it was compromised with a toxin on top of the nutritional lack. More recently, there's been a third level of compromise, a push to sell you the whole package. Seeds, which are treated, often treated with an insecticide, then fertilizer, and then pesticides, and another one which is often the herbicides to go along with it. So it's a package deal. Just use this, just grow this, and you'll grow your crop. Wow, that's a third level of compromise. Now you have nutritionally compromised, you have a toxin on top of it to hide or mask the problem because of the nutritional problem. And you have a second level of toxin in the case of herbicides so that you could get your crop to look nice and clean. The whole package. You may say, you know what? I am organic. I only buy organic. And that's good. Organic means there is no synthetic products applied to get your crop to market. It means you can't use a GMO or a genetically modified crop. So that's better. And I know I used to be organic. We had a 4,000 tree apple orchard, monoculture, organic, apple orchard. Oh, it's organic. But organic does not mean it's uncompromised. It doesn't mean you haven't used anything to get that crop to market. In fact, you could use organically approved pesticides. What does that mean? That means the same thing. You could still have a masked or a compromised or a product that is kind of not fit to be eaten. Why? Because you're hiding it. You're masking the problem, which is a nutritional deficiency. So organic is better, but it's not a guarantee. I would even say it's better to have fruit or vegetables that show that they are compromised by an insect or disease. Why? It doesn't guarantee, but it's far more likely they have not been masked. You got the crop, it hasn't masked that there was a problem, so you know it's compromised nutritionally, but it doesn't have the layer of toxins on top of it. It's not easy, and I understand why people take the easier route. But this is the big problem, the big scandal. I would even say it's a scandal, that whole idea of masking, hiding the truth. And just look at labels. The food industry will never, and I say never, allow your foods that you eat to be labeled. Certainly not labeled, oh, they do have GMO products. No, and they will fight to the end to not allow that labeling. Why? Because one, it makes it so much harder to get product to put in their pipeline of foods, because so much of the food is compromised. So is your food compromised? There's no way of knowing unless you trust the farmer or you grow your own. Trusting a farmer, yeah, it's not that hard, but it is harder. How? Maybe you get a CSA basket. Well, that's a different level. Maybe you go and buy direct at a farmer's market. However you're dealing directly with a farmer, don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask them how they grow them. What did they need to use? They'll tell you. If they're honest, then you get that trust established. It's time to get off the compromised food treadmill. Start a garden. Start a permaculture orchard. Make your own compost. Apply rock dust. Upgrading of your soil could be done. Maybe it's time to defy the commie HOAs and garden on your own property. If you say, I don't have a garden, I don't have land, I don't have access to land, maybe it's time that look around, get onto a community garden. There's none. Maybe organize one. Find some lost space. A lot of times cities have land that's not being used that could be turned into a community garden. Gardening is a revolution. Take back control of your own food by growing some of your own. Start at least seasonally. Have a garden, and during that season you have some of your own food. And then you can move to storing your food so that at other times of the year you can have your own food.